how much noise these things can or can't take.
Usually goes to that sound man stop it.
Yeah, you mentioned Elvis Presley. Have there been any British artists that have influenced you?
Well, the Beatles were a big influence, especially I think Paul McCartney, lyrically and musically, and John Lennon in a sense politically. George Harrison's guitar playing. I think more recently, last night we just went to see Sting, and I'm a big, great admirer of his. I think it's great music, great lyrics.
He reaches an incredibly broad audience. Are you satisfied with the type of audience that you reach, or would you like to broaden that?
Well, I'm certainly satisfied. I have the privilege of being able to sing to audiences all over the world, and so there's an audience out there for me. At one time, I was the biggest selling record artist in the world for a couple of years, and I'd like to have that kind of success again with my current music. It's really frustrating that there's so many songs that are still a part of radio's playlists that are the old songs, Annie's song, Sunshine on My Shoulders, Leave Me on a Jet Plane, Rocky Mountain High, whatever. And it's almost doubly difficult for me to get them to listen to a new song. And yet, as I said before, I think I'm singing better than I ever have. I think some of the new songs are certainly as good, if not better, than anything I ever wrote before. And they get wonderful responses from audiences around the world. But getting in front of that larger audience by having them played on the radio, that's harder than I would ever have anticipated, having had the kind of success that I had. So that's a bit frustrating, and I'd like to, a part of what I'm doing this for is to really try and give the new music as good a shot as I possibly can. And with that, there comes a lot more opportunities, I think.
Yeah, let's hope that the tour will introduce people to the new stuff.
Yeah, we'll see.
What will happen after the tour? Do you have any plans to continue recording, film, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I have a little film coming out later this spring called Walking Thunder. It's a period piece in the 1850s in the United States, a family moving west, a young boy coming of age. I play the father in the family. When I leave England at the end of March, I'm going to Southeast Asia and to China. And I'll do the first major tour by a Western artist in China. And pretty excited about that. Oh, phone ringing now. People just think they're they're at home.
Take that phone off the hook as well, and then make sure it doesn't happen again. Sorry about that. Okay. Right, where were we? Okay.
Obviously, this is something we spoke about. You've been involved with for throughout your career. But is that the reason why you got into music in the first place?
No, no, not the reason I got into music. I couldn't help singing. When I was a kid, I was always copying all the songs I heard on the radio, and as a result of that, my grandmother gave me a guitar. And when I started learning how to play the guitar and to do music in schools, I found out just the time in the 50s when rock and roll was beginning. Elvis Presley was a big influence on my life, that he did a very unique kind of music as far as most people were concerned, or compared to what people were familiar with, and he did it in his own way. Nobody could tell him how to do his songs. That meant a lot to me, and as my life progressed, I'm an Air Force brat, so we moved around a great deal. And the thing that helped me to make friends was the fact that I played guitar and sang, and could sing some of the songs that people were hearing on the radio. So it helped me make friends.
Let's talk a little bit about the tour. You're about to tour over here in the UK at the beginning of March. Do you look forward to playing to British audiences?
Oh yeah, I have wonderful audiences here, very loyal fans, and very enthusiastic audiences. It's been it'll be almost 3 years since I've been here, so it'll be nice to come back with a lot of new songs for them, and especially I think I'm singing better than I ever have. I'm starting to learn how to sing, and this instrument, I guess, for the great opera singers, people kind of it matures. It's in their late 40s, early 50s where they're really at the peak of their career. So I enjoy how I'm singing now, and I think my fans will enjoy that.
Is that a problem, that noise there?
As far as I'm concerned, Richard, it's okay with me.
Close the door, Hal, and tell them to quiet down in there.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, let's start off by talking a bit about the album. Can you tell me a bit about it?
This album was recorded about 3.5 years ago, I think. So it's been released in the States, but we have a whole bunch of albums that we had done there and it had been released in a few other places around the world, but not here in England. So we're doing a nice promotional effort around that in conjunction with a tour that's coming up. The album is called The Flower That Shattered the Stone. A beautiful, beautiful song that I was going to write. Doggone it. Somebody beat me to it. A dear friend of mine, Joe Henry, with whom I've written a bunch of lyrics, is how I got a hold of the song. He wrote the lyrics of this song, and a fellow named John Jarvis from Nashville wrote the music. There's a nice, more than a nice Jimmy Webb song on the album. Jimmy Webb seems to be coming back in a nice way. Brilliant songwriter. The song is called Postcards from Paris. There are a few country songs on it. A song by a British writer, I can't think of his name, wrote it for his little girl, I Watch You Sleeping. And just an incredibly unique piece of music. So anyway, I like the album a lot. I think I'm singing really well on it. I think people, especially my fans, would enjoy it.
How would you describe the mood of it, and how would that be different from your previous albums?
Perhaps it's a little more somber than previous albums, just in the color of it all. I think it's quite a bit, not more musical, but more produced than a lot of my albums, and like that.
How would you describe your own personal songwriting process?
Well, for me, songs generally start with an idea, a phrase, leaving on a jet plane, follow me, sunshine on my shoulders, what have you, and then I'll spend time with that thought, and usually when I'm walking in the mountains or when I'm driving, times when I'm really relaxed is when these songs come for me. Sometimes it's an effort to make a song happen. Sometimes they spill out of you like you can't stop them. And it's just always a wonderful process to be writing a song.
I've not heard the album myself, but I've heard that it has a very strong environmental flavour. Is that something you've always been passionate about?
I have, yeah. I think for over 25 years now I've been involved in the environmental movement, and still am. I think that our learning about the environment, how important our relationship to the environment is, how critically important it is to have a healthy environment, is something we're still learning. And it means, it means whether or not we're going to survive on this planet. It means whether or not the Earth remains inhabitable by higher life forms. And on a more simple level, it means the kinds of things that I would like to be able to share with my grandchildren, and they with their grandchildren, things that have been so meaningful in my life. Nature has been one of my very best friends throughout my life. It's how I learned to communicate, is taking images from nature, how to express my own deepest feelings. So I care about that. It's important to me.
Are there any particular issues right now that you're involved with?
Well, I don't think there's any really particular issues. The environment really is connected to just about everything that's going on as far as I'm concerned. We have a program that we're doing in the United States. We've started a Planet 2000, it's called, and it's a tree planting program. And its first year, we've planted over 80,000 trees around the United States. And we hope to plant several million before it's all done. It's an opportunity for people to get involved. So many people say, what can I do? The problems are so enormous, what can I possibly do? And I remind folks that, you don't have to do everything. but there are things that you can do in your own home, with your family, in the kinds of choices that you make every day. And so do the things that you can do, and if you do what you do and I do what I do and these people do what they can do, then together we'll solve these problems.